before we get into today's video, I just wanted to wish all the Canadians a happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Alright, so I've been an Apple user for a while now, and when I heard that the new iPhones are coming out, I was excited. I was watching the keynote, and then I was kind of like, that's it? That's it? I feel like nothing changed really. I feel like nothing improved. And even looking at the specs, it literally feels like nothing really improved. Especially, I'm really into the cameras on even something like an iPhone, and I feel like the camera didn't get any better. The lens is a little bit wider, which is great. I like that. But other than that, the specs look almost exactly the same. So I started thinking, have they stopped innovating? Have they stopped getting better? Should I be looking at Androids? Like, I don't even know. I don't know what's going on anymore. But I feel like the innovation has really slowed down. Or maybe I'm wrong. I did still end up getting the XS, partly because my wife needed a new phone, so it made sense to just buy a new phone, but very reluctantly. And now that I have it, I might as well do a comparison between the XS and, you like how I called it the XS, the 10S and the 10. I might as well see, is the camera on the 10S any better than on the 10? Are they doing some sort of trickery magic to make the camera better? I'm very curious. So let's do a little head-to-head test battle between the iPhone XS and the 10. And I'm strictly looking at the cameras and mostly video because that's what I do. All right, let's go test them.
Where are we dropping, boys?
I didn't buy you a PC to play Fortnite, dude. You want to help me test out these cameras instead of doing that? I hired you for a reason, Matt. So here you can clearly see that the crop is different for the front-facing camera. The lens is... Wait, I thought the lens was wider on the new one. Why is it more cropped in? Might have to do some more research on this. Anyways, apparently there's also a bit of a controversy with this front-facing camera. It seems to be applying some sort of like beauty filter on my face. So this is the 10S here, 10S. And then this is the 10, and you can definitely see a difference in the face. It's a lot more kind of smoothed out. Is that just extra dynamic range, or are they actually adding some sort of filter to make you look more pretty? I don't know. It kind of looks a little bit plasticky, a little bit fake on the 10S, so not sure if I like that. But this crop thing is really throwing me off. Here's a great dynamic range test. You see how on the 10, the sky is all blown out, whereas on the 10S, it's still really good. The dynamic range is much better on the 10S, but again, this crop is throwing me off. I tried to go through the settings. I couldn't figure out if there's like a setting to change that. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to do a little bit more research on this one. Also, for all of you who misunderstood my why I think smartphone photography kind of sucks, and you took it as me saying you have to buy a whole bunch of expensive equipment. I was not saying that at all. I was saying buy a cheap DSLR, buy a cheap lens. This iPhone cost around $2,000. And so I thought it was really ironic that people are like, oh no, I'm just gonna shoot on my smartphone. I can't afford a real camera. Yet these things are really expensive. Like really expensive. So it might be more of a case of let go of your smartphone and actually get a more legit camera if you want to be more legit. And that was just my opinion anyway, so. think that's it for this test. This one is the iPhone XS and this one is the iPhone X. So yeah, it's a little bit hard to compare because the cameras aren't like super close to each other, so the angles are totally different. But yeah, I gotta check this footage out. Just based on the screens, it looks like the XS definitely has more dynamic range, but yeah, I gotta look at this on a computer and then we can make some conclusions about the cameras. All right, let's head back. Alright, so we've spent like the last half an hour looking through the footage, looking through the photos, and trying to figure out what's happening. Is the camera in the XS any better than in the 10? Okay, let's start off with the good stuff. There's definitely more dynamic range. So dynamic range is great. I actually heard that the XS has a bigger sensor, which I didn't know about until I talked to a few people. I'm not a super tech guy, so I don't know if that's for sure true. They were even saying a 32% bigger sensor, so that's quite a bit bigger sensor. So maybe that's giving them more dynamic range, or they're doing it somehow through software, but I don't think that it's most likely the sensor. So that's great. Dynamic range is nice. Also, I found the colors to be a little bit more natural. They're a little less warm now, and I think that makes it look a little bit more natural to me. So that was another great thing. But other than that, I wasn't super impressed. Like there wasn't like a big difference that I was like, wow, this is way better. There was nothing like that. It looked better, and at times it kind of looked worse also. It was more of just like a different look. Sometimes the iPhone XS looked a little bit more plasticky. I don't know if that's because of the dynamic range or they're adding more denoising on there or something like that. The noise reduction kind of felt like it was going out of control at time, or just more than normal. So it's more of a different look. I can't say that it's like way better, but if I had to choose one, I think I like the XS more. It's just a little bit less harsh with that more dynamic range. So it's better, but it's not way better in my opinion. I also tested 240 frames per second in 1080, and again, no big difference here. I think the biggest difference was that there was more detail in the XS when you looked at, you know, like concrete and walls and stuff like brick like this. There was more detail, but again, kind of the same things, a little bit more dynamic range, a little bit better, you know, colors and that kind of stuff, but for the most part, nothing like you should definitely get this, you should upgrade. Nothing that crazy. And then we get to the front-facing camera, and this is where things got interesting. Now, I thought I was gonna focus on the whole beauty gate thing, if you didn't know. So apparently they're kind of adding some sort of like beauty filter, noise reduction on the face, on the front-facing camera, kind of to make you look better, which is really weird because they didn't say anything about it, and you can't turn it off, so that's weird. But the biggest thing for me is that it's actually more cropped in on the XS than it is on the 10 for the front-facing camera. It's the same for the photos, or about the same, but for video on the XS, it's way more cropped in, and that actually really sucks because I do a lot of, you know, Instagram videos and that kind of stuff, Instagram stories with the front-facing camera, and if it's more cropped in, then I feel like I can't do as much with it. And I even borrowed my friend's XS Max just to see if it does the same thing, and yeah, it's the same crop. The front-facing camera is more cropped in, which is weird because I thought the specs said that it's a wider lens, so I don't really know what's going on there. I'm really confused with that one. Now, I did notice that the stabilization was a little bit better in the XS, so I don't know, maybe they're also doing more stabilization on the front-facing camera, and that's why it's more cropped in, because it's electronic stabilization. I don't know what's going on exactly, but yeah, very interesting. I'm surprised more people aren't talking about that, because I feel like that's kind of a thing. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer. Low light wise, I would say the XS is better, but it wasn't like a lot better, and it could just be that they're adding more noise reduction. So again, it's not like a crazy difference, about the same in my opinion. The one thing that was a big difference was the audio quality. Audio quality on the XS was definitely better. That I can say for sure. It was way better, and I don't know all the ins and outs of the differences between the microphones, but it was definitely better in the XS. Here's a great dynamic range test. You see how on the 10 the sky is all blown out, whereas on the XS it's still really good. The dynamic range is much better on the XS. Okay, so for the photos, I noticed that the look is definitely different. So it's a little bit less warm again. I would say it was better than the 10 on the 10s. I like the image better in the photos. It was doing a better job. Now I didn't have a ton of time to test out the photos, but from what I did see, the photos were better on the 10s. So if you're a photographer, it might be worth upgrade. Maybe. I'd recommend for you to. I'd recommend for you to check it out for yourself, but I did like the look of the photos in the 10s better than in the 10. But again, not like a massive difference in my opinion. That's just my opinion though. So in conclusion, I'm honestly not that impressed. If somebody was asking me should they upgrade to the 10s, I'd probably say no. If you have the 10 right now, I honestly don't really see much of a reason to get the 10s. It feels like kind of the same phone. The photos look the same. The video kind of looks the same. It's a little bit more dynamic range, but it's not a crazy difference again. And then the front-facing camera being more cropped in, that's a negative for me. I don't like that. I don't know why they did that. I feel like I need to do some more research on that one, but I couldn't find much on that one yet. So I would say probably skip this one. And this brings up kind of an interesting point, is what's happening to Apple? Is Apple starting to, go downhill? Have they plateaued and maybe they're starting to go downhill? I kind of think so. And I think what happened with Apple, and this is again just me thinking out loud, I think what happened with Apple is that they were making products before. They were focusing on making the best products that all the professionals would want to use. And they did make some of the best products, in my opinion. I loved using Apple products. But then I think they started to get more focused on making money. And then when they did that, they started focusing on just making stuff for everybody, for the general consumer, for everybody. And they forgot about actually making the best products and instead just making products for everybody. So I feel like that's what we're starting to get now. I don't know if it's gonna go downhill. Maybe they'll have some more innovation, but to be honest, I don't think Apple's been innovating much lately at all. And if anything, they're kind of falling behind in a lot of different areas. So it's always interesting to see the way companies progress. And yeah, I'm curious, are they gonna be able to do something really crazy, really innovative, or maybe not. Maybe they'll, I don't know. So that was my little review on the 10s, and really I'm just mostly looking at the camera. I'm not really a tech reviewer kind of guy. If you're wondering me why I've been doing so many reviews, it's just because all the cameras and all the stuff, they're all coming out right now kind of at the same time. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of like testing out new stuff, so it's been fun. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.